the Pharisees. So now we're into Jesus' ministry, into his adulthood. The Pharisees were the Jewish leaders of the day. The word comes from the Hebrew word meaning separated ones. So they were better than you. They followed the law better than you. That's what they wanted you to think. But Jesus didn't care much for the Pharisees. It says in Matthew 23, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites." When Jesus says woe to you, you better watch out. That's not good. Woe. That's a word I think we need to bring back in our normal. Woe to you. There's 7 woes that Jesus gives to the Pharisees in Matthew 23. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. And this makes sense. If Jesus is the only way to heaven, and that's what he would say, and that's one of the reasons why they wanted to kill him, because of that claim, then the Pharisees were blocking people from following him, from following Jesus, therefore preventing people from going to heaven. Woe to you for that. The second woe is the Pharisees, they led their people in the same hypocrisy that they themselves followed. It's a religion of works. They had to follow the law to the T, or at least delude themselves into thinking that they were. And they put that burden on the other people as well. And Jesus says, you're making them twice as much a child of hell, which is a very bad thing. Number 3, his third woe, woe to you for being a blind guide. Right? So the Pharisees thought that they were leading the blind, but Jesus said, no, you are blind. You think you're guiding people in the truth, but you have no idea what the truth is. Woe to you. You can see why the Pharisees are not super happy with this Jesus guy. They wanted to kill him because of all this. The fourth woe is you tithe. All right, like it says in Deuteronomy, great, you tithe, but you neglect the more important matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. A great line, you strain out a gnat, but swallow a camel. Means you focus on the tiny little things that are of little importance. So you're straining out the gnat, but you tolerate and commit huge sins. You swallow the camel. Great line. Woe to you for that, Pharisees. Also, number 5, you're like dishes that are cleaned on the outside but left dirty on the inside. So the Pharisees, they would present themselves as clean and virtuous, but their hearts were full of greed and self-indulgence. Jesus said, you are like whitewashed tombs. This one's colorful, beautiful on the outside, but full of bones of the dead and everything unclean on the inside, a rotting corpse of hypocrisy. They didn't like that line either. And then the 7th woe is you build monuments and decorate the tombs of the ancient prophets and say, if we lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have taken part of the shedding of the blood of the innocent prophets. That's what they say, like, well, and then we do the same thing today. Well, if I were back in Nazi Germany, then I wouldn't have been a Nazi, or I wouldn't have done those bad things, or if I were back in the 1800s, I wouldn't have been a slave master, all that stuff, right? We think so highly of ourselves if we lived back in the day, but these Pharisees were going to kill Jesus. So they were just like the people before them, if not worse. So anyway, those are the Pharisees, right? At least that's what Jesus thought of the Pharisees. So you can imagine what the Pharisees thought of Jesus. That's all in Matthew 23. Hey, thanks for watching that clip. There's obviously much more to that. You can go to the firsttv.com/support and watch the rest of it. This special is called The Killing of Jesus. And if you like this content, we have a lot more with our podcast, Politics by Faith, where we combine the politics of the day and the history and truth of the Bible. Politics by Faith is the name of that podcast. You can join us there.